I dated my ex-boyfriend for a few years and we broke it off a few months before COVID. We were both madly in love and I'm still not over him. My best friend knows this. A few months ago, she started getting distant from me and it's super unusual for me because she needs me for everything. Like just a few things that I helped her do: find colleges, apply to colleges, help donate money for her college fund, help her build her resume, find her therapy, find her a job, and countless other things. I even paid for a lot of stuff for her, like going on trips and such. She didn't really do much for me and was somewhat of an emotional support because we'd always talk about her, but then I really didn't mind and didn't care what I did for her. She was my BFF and you love her best friends. They're sisters. Last month, she broke and told me that the reason that she's so distant is because she's quarantining with my ex and they're a thing. Whatever hopes I had of getting back to my ex are squashed because I don't think I can get over him hooking up with my best friend. I'm super heartbroken and I know that you don't own people, but that doesn't mean that you can't be upset about their betrayal. Yes, dating your best friend's ex that she still loves is a betrayal. She asked me if I was happy for her. What the hell? Because she finally got a good job and a nice boyfriend. That job she has is solely because of me, because I asked an old acquaintance to return a favor by hiring my best friend. He wanted to hire someone else, but I begged him to hire her. I know how people are sometimes hurt, but then they say, "But I'm truly happy for you." I honest to God don't think they mean it, and when I say I'm happy for someone, I want to mean it. I'm not happy for my friend. I just am not. I can't make myself be. I told her as such and told her to stop contacting me. She's now blowing up my emails and DMs because she's so hurt by what I said to her. My dad said that I should have just kept this to myself since I know my best friend is a sensitive person and is hurt. But what about me? Am I given a sensitivity pass because I've looked after my friend for so long? Do my feelings just stop mattering at some point? Edit. My conversation with my best friend went as followed. She called me with the news and said that she didn't know how to tell me, didn't apologize FYI, and then she followed it up with how she's finally doing well and doesn't have to rely on me for money since she has a nice job and also a nice boyfriend. I told her I was not happy for her. I reminded her that I got her the job, she knew and was fine with it, and that I've done so much for her over the years, and she thanks me by backstabbing me and getting with my ex. She knew that it would hurt me, and if she'd done it when I was well over him or with my permission, I'd feel differently. Then, I told her to not contact me again because clearly I'm her friend, but she was never my friend and I want to stick with people who are supportive toward me and reciprocate my friendship. Then, I ended the call. Most definitely not the idiot. That's pretty messed up, especially considering how little time has passed and how much you've done for your friend. You don't have to feel any particular way about it, just feel how you feel. If you're upset, which I'd say you have every right to be, then just be upset. You're your own person and you're allowed to feel however you want. You don't owe anyone anything. I genuinely hope you can heal from this situation, that's absolutely terrible. And to be clear, healing from it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be okay with it nor be happy for either of them. Not the idiot at all. Your feelings matter in this friendship and she didn't even talk to you about it first. That's messed up. I wouldn't want to contact her either, especially if you're going to be expected to see them as a couple. Even if you one day feel past your love for him, the trust is broken between you and your friend. Friendship should go both ways, and honestly, if she can't understand why you would be upset and your side of it all, she doesn't deserve you. Dump her. My goodness, not the idiot. You don't need to bottle up your feelings. It's perfectly fine to not be happy about this situation. It's perfectly fine to be angry, sad, stressed, whatever you are feeling. Name the feelings and work through them. It will take time, but you will heal. You can let this friendship go and do what you need to do to make space to heal yourself. If she is blowing up your DMs, I would block her. You need to look after your own mental health. My late husband Adam, 36, passed away a month ago. He had lung cancer and was terminal. I live in his house that he owned, still haven't done anything concerning inheritance. His brother lost his job and place and moved in with me a week ago. I gotta admit I wasn't too pleased to have him move in with me, but I had no choice after I got talked into it by family and since we had the chance to help each other grieve. Here's the situation. He started randomly walking into the bedroom and excusing it as needing to borrow something from Adam's closet. He wears his clothes and even started using his stuff, razor, laptop, etc. He also got his hands on his piano, which to me felt disrespectful because Adam wouldn't want it touched or moved. I try to have conversations with him about what's allowed / what's not, but he'd throw the "would Adam want you to treat me like that?" line at me. It made me feel frustrated. I seriously started contemplating telling him to leave. Now the current conflict, I finally brought myself to open Adam's closet and found a box full of wrapped gifts. I read the piece of paper at the bottom, and he wrote that he had got me a gift for next year's occasions in advance since he knew he wouldn't be around much longer. I was absolutely stunned. I looked at the gifts but didn't open them. There was a gift for my birthday, Valentine's, our wedding anniversary, Christmas, and so on. He said he wanted this gesture to also serve as a comforting method so I wouldn't feel so devastated, since we know that grief gets tense during these times. I could not believe it. I mean, he was always this thoughtful, but I never just knew that his thoughtfulness could reach this level. I was out yesterday, and when I returned I found that my nephews had opened all the gifts and ruined them. I was appalled, my joy instantly faded. I had a huge argument with Bill, but he said the kids were curious and that it was my fault for not concealing my stuff like I should. I told him he had 3 days to move out. He started ranting about how it's his brother's house and how I was ruining family relationships over few gifts. Mil got involved and took his side, saying he's grieving and this is his brother's house and that I'm acting unhinged. Am I being too emotional? I wanted to feel his presence in his presence this upcoming year, but I feel like it was ruined for me. Not the idiot. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this idiot. Wearing / borrowing your husband's stuff is totally insensitive to your grief, and then opening the gifts, which are an irreplaceable, priceless, wonderful parting gesture from your husband, is unforgivable. You should not have to do a huge favor for anyone who thinks treating a grieving wife this way is okay. Not the idiot. My condolences on your loss. It sounds like your husband was a wonderful man who put a lot of thought into you and your feelings. Your Bill and kids clearly think this house and its contents now belong to them, as the house belonged to his brother. Please check the will, and if there is none, get a lawyer to ensure that in your country without a will the husband's property passes to his wife. This will give you better grounds to kick Bill out. Not the idiot. They have zero right to anything in the home, and shouldn't be anywhere they're not invited. Entering your room, rummaging through your things, opening gifts meant for you, then trying to blame you? They deserve worse than being asked to leave. You were generous to take them in, and they are paying you back by violating what's yours and disrespecting you. Giving them 3 days to leave rather than kicking them out on the spot is being gracious. My late sister and I started a business 25 years ago. She always had a passion for food and I was always good with numbers, so we combined our skills and opened up a restaurant together. She was so excited about following her dream and being able to provide for her kids with it. 5 years later she became unwell and died weeks after learning she had cancer. My sister and I talked about the business extensively. Before she died she signed ownership over to me. She had me promise that if her kids wanted and they would take over her share in the future, which I agreed to do. At the time we had discussed her husband and his place in it all. She had said she did not want him to control her share after her death because she did not want his future wife and future children to potentially inherit from her. That she wanted it to be her gift to her children if they wanted it. Not something that went to his new family once she was gone. Both kids became interested and have taken over their share. They will also take over mine someday, as my children are not interested. My sister's husband did remarry and he did have more children, as well as a stepchild. Bad blood started to form after he remarried. His wife didn't like that her husband had no idea what the business was worth and didn't like that he wasn't responsible for my sister's half, that would eventually be my niece and nephew's share. She told me she felt it was their job as the parents to have a say over what happened to it. I told her no way. He offered to buy me out of the restaurant and I turned him down. He told me he didn't like knowing it would exclude most of his family if his kids wanted their share. I told him it would potentially include all of my sister's children though. When the kids took over their half they chose not to give access to their stepfamily. They warned me that their half-sister was already asking to be included. She's the oldest. She's 16. She had asked me before if she could be a manager and wanted to share her siblings' portion of the business. The kid's dad approached me recently and told me he wants me to allow her to work here and join the family business alongside his kids. He said my niece and nephew would benefit from forming a closer relationship with their half-siblings and that it would mean so much to their half-sister to be welcomed in and made part of everything. I told him that was not happening. He grew frustrated and then accused me of being a monster and of interfering in his life after remarrying. He told me I was doing nothing but encouraging othering in his family. That it was unfair to punish him for moving on. I told him I was not punishing him. That his adult children had refused and that was what he should focus on. But he needed to understand that his minor children are not my family and therefore are not entitled to have anything passed down from me. He left after accusing me of acting like I hate his kids. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Ownership between the partners was signed over long before the second wife came along. You became a 100% sole proprietor. There was no longer any sister's half for the husband to be involved in. And you have chosen your niece and nephew as your business partners. It is pretty simple. If the 16-year-old wants to be hired as an employee server, that is up to the owners. But she would be staff. Good on your sister for seeing this in her husband. The new wife is definitely behind it. Why does he think something your sister built with you should be divided among children your sister had nothing to do with? He may be trying to keep his new wife happy, but he should put his foot down and say it's nothing to do with her. I have a feeling though his wife has brainwashed him into believing he and his new family are entitled to a share. Not the idiot. Your sister's reasoning was sound. This is an inheritance, not a family business. As her husband did not inherit it, he therefore has nothing to give his other children. Also, nothing makes a business unprofitable more than having too many owners with whom to split the profits, not to mention the pain of everyone being decision makers. If your sister's children became, say, software engineers, would they be expected to share their salaries with their half-siblings? This is the exact same thing. My fiancé, 40, and I, 36, have been together for 2 years. I have 3 kids from my former marriage, 7, 11, and 14. My fiancé loves them and treats them as his own, but he constantly complains about certain behaviors and says that the kids lack some forms of discipline. I never understood what he meant, but mind you, he's a teacher and can take this whole discipline thing a bit far. I noticed that he's been doing some tests lately to see how they'd act in certain situations. For example, he once left his journal lying around to see if any of my kids would snoop. He also would leave money lying around to see who'd touch it. Or even lie saying who wants Skittles? To see if any of the kids would come to him downstairs. The recent one, that I wasn't aware of till later, was yesterday. He told the kids that he lost $1 from his pocket and offered $10 to whoever finds it. The kids began searching the house for an hour. My 7 and 11-year-olds couldn't find a thing, but my 14-year-old went to my fiancé and told him he found the dollar and gave it to him. My fiancé lost it and started yelling, gotcha now. My son was confused. Turns out, my fiancé didn't lose any money and lied about the dollar to see how the kids would react. My son obviously had failed because he pretended to have found the dollar, but in reality he took it from his allowance and gave it to my fiancé hoping to get that $10. My fiancé said that because of my son's dishonesty and greed, he'll punish him by taking all his allowance for the month as well as electronics being taken away for a week. I got into an argument with him and called him delusional because those mind games were getting ridiculous, and besides, it's not like my son stole anything from him. He just failed his stupid test and kids make mistakes and learn. He still talked about how this is about principles and that he's trying to teach my kids to become decent adults, but I thought this has gone too far. I refused to let him punish him. Now he's calling me an enabler and said that this attitude won't be of much help when we get married because it undermines his authority as a parent and enables unacceptable behaviors from my kids. He said, and I quote, "I will not tolerate having greedy and dishonest individuals live under my roof. You are the idiot for letting him play these mind games with your kids and it putting a stop to it right when it started. What is wrong with you? Do you want your kids to feel unsafe in their own home? Is getting married really more important than your children's safety and well-being? I'm so disgusted you've let this go on for God knows how long. Why are you letting him abuse your children? And yes, playing mind games and trying to purposely screw with their heads is abuse. Not the idiot. I would talk to your kids separately and together, away from your fiancé, about how they feel about him. These mind games are not okay and will impact the relationship you have with your kids and the relationship he has with your kids. I would also like you to step back and look at these mind games. He says your kids lack discipline, so he attempts to manipulate and control through mind games. Is this someone you want to marry? Then he gaslights you and says you're an enabler when you stand up for your kids. That's not okay. He probably shouldn't even be a teacher, to be honest. Not the idiot. I have friends who are teachers and I have a ton of respect for the profession. I know my friends to be great teachers who love their jobs and the kids they teach. That being said, some of the biggest friggin' bullies in a school are teachers. Your fiancé sounds like the king of bullies. You really need to evaluate how these games are going to affect your relationship with your kids. How would you feel being stuck in a house with someone constantly leaving traps for you? Toxic adults treat children like adults with bad intentions. My older sister Jess, 36, has to be the center of attention about everything. I'm getting married and my sister was bridesmaid until she hated the bridesmaid outfit. My fiancée Rose, 24, and MOH is her sister Kylie, 17, almost 20 years younger than my sister. Kylie has autism and doesn't like dresses, so they decided on formal jumpers. I think that's the right term, like rompers with long pants. It made Kylie comfortable and the rest of the wedding party agreed on it, and Rose even opted out of a wedding dress and got a jumper. No, I haven't seen it. My sister decided she hates the whole theme and bought her own bridesmaid dress. Not only that, but her bridesmaid's dress is designer, almost $4,000, and not even in the right color. Rose was upset and told Jess she can't wear her bridesmaid dress. It started a huge fight where my parents are backing Jess, saying the jumpers are ugly. Jess decided she was going to wear her expensive dress to the wedding no matter what, and I said no. Either be a bridesmaid in the jumper or don't freaking come to the wedding. My mom started to complain and I finally told my mom the same goes for you or anyone else defending Jess. I mean it, and my family is mad because I'm banning my family from the wedding, and Jess has the same rights as Kylie to wear something she feels comfortable in, even though Jess is a grown woman and not an autistic teen. Definitely not the idiot. This is you and your fiancé's wedding. Your future wife decided on a particular attire for the bridesmaids based on an accommodation for the MOH and her special needs. A decision every other bridesmaid agreed on except your oh so special almost 40-year-old sister that wants to wear a $4,000 dress and outshine everyone, including the bride. OP, you are what I call a gold star husband who understands that you should always put your life partner's needs and wants over everyone else's. I truly wish you a wonderful, joyous wedding and future with your wife. Not the idiot, and enjoy your wedding without Jess, or whoever else wants to keep the peace by giving Jess whatever she wants. Tell them if they are so interested in permitting Jess to be the center of attention, let them invite Jess to their future celebrations, and let her ruin their event. But tell everyone, you want to be very clear, your wedding will be the center of attention, because it's your special day. Yours, not Jess, and if she insists on behaving like an attention-hungry spoiled brat, you will consider her to be uncaring about your feelings and will proceed accordingly. Not the idiot at all. Normally I don't get wedding rule and think much of it as nonsense. But here, your sis is being 100% irrational and for like no valid reason. Your parents are as well for supporting her. SMH, tell sis she has 3 options. 1. Wear a bridesmaid's outfit that your fiancé is okay with, or 2. Wear another dress that you approve of and just be a guest, or 3. Don't come if she insists on wearing the $4,000 dress.